Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Have you ever booked a flight and seen those eco-friendly options pop up?
Yeah.
The promises of carbon offsets or sustainable fuel? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Does.
Like, are these airlines really trying to clean up their act? Or is it just clever marketing?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're digging into today.
It's a question a lot of people are asking, especially with, all the news about sustainable travel these days.
Absolutely. And lucky for us, we've got aviation expert Lynn Frederick Souza's article, Greenwashing in Aviation, Sky-High Claims, Low-Key Reality, to kind of help us sort it all out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our guidebook to spotting the real deal from, well, the smoke and mirrors.
What's fascinating about this article is that Dusa doesn't hold back.
Yeah?
She gets right to the heart of the issue, this gap between what airlines claim they're doing and the actual impact of their operations.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
What exactly is greenwashing?
In a nutshell, greenwashing is when a company, in this case an airline, tries to make itself look more environmentally friendly than it actually is.
Okay.
Think of it like putting lipstick on a pig. It might look a bit better on the surface, but it's still a pig.
Okay, lipstick on a pig. Got it.
Yeah.
So how does this play out with airlines specifically? The article mentions this really striking analogy.
Right. D'Souza compares airlines promoting carbon-neutral flights while still heavily relying on fossil fuels to someone wearing a hemp dress while driving a gas-guzzling SUV.
Whoa.
It's a funny image, but it really drives home the point that you can't just slap an eco-friendly label on something and call it a day.
It's like trying to offset a burger with a diet soda.
Yeah.
You're kind of missing the point. Speaking of missing the point, one term Deeza uses throughout the article is carbon offsetting. What exactly does that mean?
Carbon offsetting is when an airline, or any company really, invests in projects that reduce carbon emissions to offset their own emissions. It could be planting trees, investing in renewable energy, things like that. The idea is to try and balance out the emissions they're producing.
So theoretically, you could book a carbon neutral flight because the airline is investing in, say, a wind farm somewhere else.
Yes, that's the general idea.
Right.
But the effectiveness of carbon offsetting really depends on the quality of those offset projects and whether they're truly making a difference. And that's where things can get a bit murky.
Okay, so we've got greenwashing and carbon offsetting, two key terms to keep in mind. Now, Souza argues that one of the biggest red flags when it comes to greenwashing is a lack of transparency. What does she mean by that?
She's saying that airlines need to be upfront and honest about their environmental impact. If you're claiming to be eco-friendly, back it up with data. Show us your emissions numbers, tell us what you're doing to reduce them, and be transparent about how your carbon offset programs actually work.
So it's not enough to just slap a little green leaf logo on your website and call it a day.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We need to see the receipts. For example, let's say an airline claims to be investing in sustainable aviation fuels, or SAFs. That sounds great in theory, right?
Right.
But are they actually using them in significant quantities, or are they just a tiny fraction of their overall fuel consumption? Souza argues that these are the kinds of details airlines need to be upfront about.
And what are SAFs exactly?
SAFs are a potential game changer in aviation. They're made from sustainable sources like used cooking oil or plant waste, and they have the potential to significantly reduce carbon emissions compared to traditional jet fuel.
That sounds really promising.
Yeah,
But it sounds like it all comes down to how these fuels are implemented on a large scale.
exactly. Developing and scaling up the production of SAFs is crucial if we want to make a real dent in aviation's environmental impact.
So if I'm booking a flight and I see an airline touting its eco-credentials, what are some specific questions I can ask to cut through the greenwashing and figure out if they're being truly transparent?
That's a great question. First, don't be afraid to dig deeper. Look beyond the marketing slogans and search for concrete information.
What kind of information should we be looking for specifically?
Look for detailed reports on their environmental performance, their sustainability goals, and how they're measuring progress. A truly transparent airline will have this information readily available on their website or in their sustainability reports.
So if I'm digging through an airline's website and I can't find any concrete data on their environmental impact, that's a major red flag.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the presence of information, it's about the quality. Are they just throwing around vague terms like eco-friendly? Or are they providing specific details about their initiatives? For example, instead of just saying they're reducing fuel consumption, are they telling you how they're doing it? Are they investing in more fuel-efficient aircraft? Optimizing flight paths to reduce distance and burn less fuel?
It's like the difference between saying I'm trying to be healthier and
Mm.
actually showing someone your workout schedule and what you're eating, right?
Exactly. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And this brings us to another crucial point. D'Souza makes actions speak louder than words.
Okay, so let's talk about tangible actions. We've touched on SAFs and optimizing flight paths. What are some other concrete steps airlines can take to demonstrate a genuine commitment to sustainability?
There are so many possibilities. Investing in research and development of new technologies is huge. Think electric planes or even hydrogen-powered aircraft. Those are still a ways off, but the research and investment need to happen now.
It's about looking beyond those quick fixes and investing in long-term solutions.
Precisely. It's also about looking at the entire life cycle of their operations. How are they reducing waste at airports and on board? Are they implementing recycling programs? Are they phasing out single-use plastics? These might seem like small things, but they add up.
And it shows a commitment to sustainability at every level. It's not just
Yeah.
about the fuel, it's about the entire flying experience.
Right. And it's about looking beyond their own operations, too. Are they partnering with organizations involved in carbon offsetting projects? And not just funding them, but ensuring those projects are actually making a difference. DUSA emphasizes that it's about quality over quantity.
So it's not enough to just throw money at a problem and hope it goes away. Airlines need to be actively involved in finding and supporting effective solutions.
Exactly. And that brings us to what I think is one of D'Souza's most insightful points, the importance of collaboration.
Okay, so let's talk about collaboration. Why is it so crucial in the fight against greenwashing and for genuine progress in aviation sustainability?
Because the challenges are too big and complex for any one airline to tackle alone. We're talking about an entire industry that needs to transform itself.
So it's not just about airlines competing with each other to be the greenest airline.
Right. DUSA argues that true progress requires airlines to work together, sharing knowledge, setting industry standards, and pushing for policy changes. They need to collaborate with governments, environmental organizations, and even their competitors to make a real difference.
So it's about the big picture, understanding that we're all in this together.
Exactly. And this is where those partnerships come into play. Imagine an airline partnering with a biofuel startup to develop and scale up the production of SAFs, or working with local communities near airports to implement sustainable practices and reduce the overall environmental impact of their operations.
It creates this ripple effect where collaboration leads to innovation and more sustainable practices across the board.
Precisely. And I think that's a really empowering message for listeners. You have a voice in this. Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions, demand transparency, and support airlines that are truly walking the walk on sustainability.
It's like that saying, vote with your dollar. By choosing airlines that are genuinely committed to sustainability, you're sending a powerful message.
Yeah.
But D'Souza also reminds us that it's okay to find some humor in all of this. It can get a
Okay.
bit heavy, right?
I love that she injects some humor into the article. It's so important not to take ourselves too seriously. She gives this great example. You see an ad for carbon neutral flights, and it features someone enjoying an eco-friendly sandwich. It's those kinds of details that should make us chuckle, but also make us think twice.
Because a truly sustainable approach goes beyond swapping out a plastic straw for a paper one, right?
Exactly. It's about systemic change, long-term solutions, and a real commitment to reducing the environmental footprint of air travel.
It's like she's saying, hey, let's not forget to laugh at the absurdity of it all while still holding these airlines accountable.
Absolutely. Keeping a sense of humor can prevent us from getting overwhelmed and jaded, but we can't let that humor turn into complacency.
Right. Because we as travelers have a role to play in pushing for real change. We've talked about asking the tough questions and being mindful of greenwashing tactics, but where do we go from here? What does a truly sustainable future for air travel actually look like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And while D'Souza doesn't offer a magic solution, because there isn't one, she does leave us with some food for thought. She suggests that instead of focusing solely on offsetting carbon emissions, which can be a bit like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken bone, what if we aimed for truly sustainable aviation fuels as the norm?
Instead of just trying to compensate for the damage, we're preventing it in the first place.
Exactly. Imagine a future where flying doesn't come with such a hefty environmental price tag. It's a future where SAFs aren't just a small percentage of the fuel mix, but the standard.
That's a future I think we'd all like to see. It makes you wonder what other innovations are out there just waiting to be discovered and implemented.
Absolutely. And that's where this deep dive into greenwashing comes full circle. It's not just about exposing misleading marketing. It's about sparking curiosity and encouraging innovation. It's about demanding more from the airline industry and supporting those who are genuinely committed to a greener future for air travel.
It's about recognizing that while air travel, as it exists now, does have an environmental impact, that doesn't mean we should just throw our hands up in defeat.
Exactly. This deep dive has highlighted the importance of critical thinking, informed decision-making, and collective action. We have the power to influence change both as individuals and as a society.
Well said. If this conversation has piqued your interest in greenwashing and aviation, and let's be real, how could it not? We encourage you to check out Lynn Frederick Souza's full article, Greenwashing and Aviation, Sky-High Claims, Low-Key Reality. It's a fantastic read, full of even more insights and, as we've mentioned, a healthy dose of wit to keep things engaging. And hey, if this has got your wheels turning about other industries ripe for a deep dive into their sustainability claims, we're all ears. Let us know what you'd like us to unpack next time. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, a little bit of knowledge can take you a long way, especially when it comes to navigating the sometimes turbulent skies of eco-friendly travel.